welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Wednesdays. Today I'm joined by Mattie Safer, who has been a part of some really cool bands, The Rapture, Poolside, and now his new project, Safer, who just put out a single this past Friday called Stuck on You. We're really excited to talk about all that stuff and more. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So first of all, Stuck on You, that just came out the 12th, and was that something that you put out kind of around Valentine's Day for a reason? It seems like a little love song, or
Yeah, I mean, Stuck on You is the timing with Valentine's Day or approximate to Valentine's Day was definitely intentional. It's a song about love and crushes and all that kind of romantic energy. So it just seemed like a really natural fit for the Valentine's Day time period. But you know, love and hope springs eternal. So it's not just a Valentine's Day song either.
That's true. Yeah. Was that song written during quarantine time, or was that something that you had on like your back pocket for a little while?
The song had been written for a while, but finished it up during quarantine time. It sort of in the in-between moments of trying to figure out what was happening, if the world was going to end, how to make the world like a more decent place to live in, and all that. And then, yeah, so we just at the end of last year finally was like, okay, I think we're ready to release some new music now. Let's make a plan. And you know, we just looked at what we had, this song in our pocket, and we looked at Valentine's Day, and we were like, let's just go for it.
When did you begin Safer, your project?
So Safer we played our first show in May of 2019. We played at a show at Union Pool in Brooklyn with Gustav and some other like pretty rad bands. It was a really nice way to come out into the world. I'd been writing the song on my own for a little while, and then started working with the other people in the band, and yeah, we just, you know, went pretty hard in 2019, at least as much as possible in between.
Yeah.
touring with Poolside and all of that. And then I think like a lot of people had similar big plans for 2020 that had to get, you know, set aside for a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy that it basically just started this band and everything was like, oh, never mind.
Yep. Yeah, but you know, I mean, like there were a lot of, I mean, 2020, yeah, it was a difficult year, but I think a lot of good things have come out of the end of that year, and hopefully we can carry, you know, just speaking from a more like broader like societal level, like, and carry a little bit of hope and positivity into this year.
Yeah. Do you have any more plans for some new songs coming out like throughout the course of this year?
For sure, yeah. We're going to be doing singles. I think we should have another one probably in May, another one over the summer. So trying to keep it, you know, there's music that's ready to go for sure, and just trying to keep on putting things out, and hopefully, you know, playing shows, whether they're more, you know, like we did a really fun live stream concert the other night that was really good, and then hopefully some actual like in-person things as it becomes safer for us to gather and do those kinds of things.
Yeah, how has it been doing the live stream concerts? I know people have had like mixed feelings about doing those things.
You know, at first when it was like me in a room with like a guitar and like a phone, like, I don't know, that could feel a little bit strange. Like I mean, it was nice to like just see anybody, even virtually, for a little bit, but it's a very strange setup, like as a performer, when you can't, you know, you're finishing a song and you don't really know how people are reacting. You don't know how to whether like how much are you supposed to treat it like it's a like you're at a concert venue versus like
Yeah.
whatever. But I think that this last one that we did, so it wasn't actually the performance itself was not live streamed, but we made it with these guys NYC Live, who filmed filmed it with like a real camera and lighting and recording equipment, and like it was like making a very quick little like concert film basically. And I just, to me, something like that is like more of a production value that I would be interested in watching. So I think if that's like the new kind of phase of these live stream concerts where things just kind of sound a little bit better and look a little bit better, and it feels more like a real performance and less like somebody in their pajamas in their bedroom, like that's something that I'm definitely here for.
Yeah. I've definitely seen a bunch of bigger artists who are doing like insane like productions like that, like on stage and like different lighting and little graphics and things like that. It just makes it feel more like alive, and it's cool. It sucks that like that stuff makes it more exciting because not everyone has access to it. But I hope that like there are more like accessible ways to bring people to each other's spaces soon.
It's definitely true. I mean, it's we're definitely blessed, like living we're here in like New York City, which is such a like media capital. So there are lots of like very talented like young filmmakers and musicians, and just like have creative people who can really make stuff like that work in a way that would be a lot more difficult if you were outside of a place like New York or Los Angeles. Although, I think that access to that equipment certainly is becoming more democratized, but as good as any of those things ever is, it's never going to be anywhere near as good as an actual like in-person concert. So
yeah,
that's really the ultimate. Rather than like just continuing to improve live stream technology, I would rather just be able to get back to just like playing a show with some friends and sweaty people in a room. So
I feel that. I feel that. Especially like with Safer, I think your music is a lot more like a live music based sound. Like it is something that people want to experience in person because it's like a more rock based style. But when I think of like you're in Poolside, that's something that you could enjoy kind of anywhere and anytime, without having to like experience in person. That's just, I mean, I don't know if you have a similar opinion, but
I mean, I think that Poolside records they definitely work for a lot of situations, but I also think the live show is also something that's really good and unique in a different way. It's really fun to be able to play with that group of musicians. I get to Vito from The Rapture is also plays in Poolside, so it's nice to be playing with him again pretty regularly. And our old friend Casey Butler is playing sax and keyboard and like slide guitar and like percussion and just doing all sorts of like, he's just an incredible musician. And getting to play with Brigitte, who is an amazing percussionist and like also an amazing artist who's putting out an album of her own, like I think in a couple weeks. So, and then Jeff who is Poolside. So I mean, it's a really fun, it's a different experience live, and I look forward to being able to get back and touring with them too.
Yeah. So between The Rapture and Poolside, how did you migrate between those bands and then to Safer?
After The Rapture, I signed a deal as a solo artist with a label called Wolf Tone, based out of the UK. Okay. Recorded an album but ran into like, I don't know, just the label had a lot of setup problems, and the album eventually we just parted ways. They gave me the recordings, so I released a few of them under my own name, and then in the process of that, so I was living in LA for a while. I moved back to New York, and just in the process of kind of recovering from that experience and everything, I was just like found myself. I just started making these little songs on my own at home that were kind of more like, I mean, they're the songs that ended up being the first batch of like Safer songs that I released, and they were just more, it's just like a lot of the stuff that I had done as a solo artist. I was like writing at piano. It was a lot more like sort of intricate songwriting, and with Safer, they were just like little jams that I was making to relieve stress, where they were just like really simple and like more kind of like more high energy and fun, and like I was really just enjoying doing it as like a stress reliever. And then I started playing those for people, and they were like, this is really good. You should probably pursue this. So I was like, okay, and that's when Safer became more of, turned from basically like a stress relief hobby into like into a band. And then in and around that same time period, Jeff from Poolside is a super old friend, and when I was living in LA, we had been in like contact more and just talking, and I was seeing everything that was happening with Poolside, and then eventually Philip left, and Jeff wanted to start playing live again, and they just needed it. Philip played bass and sang, and so he asked me to join, and I was like, yeah, sure, that would be great. So just started playing. I think our first show, my first show with Poolside was in like spring of 2018, and like it was a really like intense, it was a really like wild set of shows. It was like the first one was at like a small venue in San Francisco. The second one was at some weird like festival in like the Florida Panhandle, and then the third one was at Red Rocks in Colorado, like opening up for Tycho, like like for playing for like.
How was Red Rocks? I've been wanting to go there for so long.
I mean, Red Rocks, like just as a space to go to, like as a national park, is pretty amazing. And then to see a concert there, I mean, it just sounds beautiful, and you're in this like amazing outdoor setting. It's like, I've been lucky enough to play there 3 times, once with The Rapture and 2 times with Poolside, and it was, every time it's been like a real amazing experience. So.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I actually think I saw you with Tycho when Poolside opened for Tycho at Summer Stage. Was it 2019?
Oh yeah,
maybe.
2019.
That was a cool show. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another like, I'd never played Summer Stage before, so that was a really also like really cool like setting to be playing on, like just like standing, and the sun was like setting while we were playing, like it was just really peaceful, and I definitely feel like I've been blessed to do some really cool things in my music career.
What has been like, have you already said some of your favorite moments, or what has been some of your favorite moments like playing live on stage?
I mean, Red Rocks is certainly Red Rocks is one of them. Summer Stage is one of them. In general, when the Rapture got to play like to some really big audiences, and also got to do a couple of tours. Like we did one tour opening for The Cure, which meant I got to watch The Cure like every night for like a month, which was amazing. We did another tour opening for Daft Punk. That was the first time that I got to play at Red Rocks, and like that also was like just such an amazing like experience that was when they had like the pyramid visual like that they were playing, and it was just incredible. Um, got to played like some amazing shows in Mexico. Most recently with Poolside, I think also in the fall of 2019. We played a festival there, but it was just like, just an insane amount of people, and like just such a supportive and like happy audience. I'm in general, like as a person of going to concerts, I prefer smaller shows. But and as a performer, it is nice to be able to connect that way too. But there's every now and then like being able to play like for like 10, 20, 30,000 people is like a real like, there's definitely like a vibe and an energy that happens when you have that many people that can only happen because it's that many people. So that's anytime that happens and the circumstances are right and the audience is with you, that's a pretty like incredible feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have experience playing in front of that many people, but like being in crowds like that, the two different sizes, there's something really cool about being in a crowd of people where you can't see the end of it and you're all experiencing the same music and being really excited. But then there's also another kind of excitement and like intimacy of being in such a small tight room and you're all sweating and like being like this close to the person on the stage, and it's insane.
Yeah, like you're actually like experiencing it with the musician. I mean, when you're as a performer, when you're up on a stage that playing for like a huge audience like that, you really aren't connecting like individually with too many people. But like when you're in like like Alphaville or something like that, like you can see every single person like that's there. You know how they're reacting to everything, and you can have like a moment with people. It's really, and that's really cool, and that feeds the performance in an entirely different way.
Yeah, for sure. So also, I feel like obviously the vibe of Safer's music is a little more grungy, a little more rock, and Poolside's a little more disco, a little more dancey. How what's kind of like your favorite style to play, or do you have a favorite style, or being able to go between the two different styles, is that easy to do?
I think I just love a lot of different kinds of music, a lot of different performers, a lot of different styles. I grew up like as a teenager. I was playing in like bands that like punk bands that were like practicing in like like basements and playing small shows at coffee houses, shit like that. I was also studying jazz and like playing in orchestras and doing all that, and listening to and like listening to lots of like soul and funk and disco, and grew up in DC, so go-go music too. Like so yeah, I mean, I listen to a wide variety of things, so I also enjoy playing a wide variety of things. And I think that like for me musically, like I like seeing the connections between things that people see as separate things, because I don't think that artists necessarily think of themselves as like, we are a blank kind of band. Like I think artists for the most part, they just do what comes out of them, or they do what comes out of the collective group of people that they're making music with. So yeah, and that's one of the things, I make like a weekly playlist on Spotify called Dance Soul Rock and Roll, and a lot of what I try to do when I'm curating it is like make connections between music that I like, but that again, like you just wouldn't necessarily like associate with each other, because I think music is like music is like a universal language, and there are different styles or different dialects, but at the end of the day, like it's all using the same 12 notes for the most part. and like doing, just saying it's all about expressing like inner emotion that in ways that words and written words and like speaking just kind of don't really get across.
Yeah. And I think that's why so many people relate to music, because it's just so ever changing and so many different types. And it is with being a creative, I know that I wouldn't want to be put into a box either. I know a lot of musicians like hate when they like, oh, you're this kind of sound, I just did that to you, so I'm sorry. But it's like,
oh no, I don't. I don't mind it.
yeah.
I think labels are certainly useful, like, as a way of describing things. So no offense taken. Like, I understand, like, your characterizations weren't like wildly out of place or anything.
Yeah, but it's also like a lot of creatives like to be able to, like you said, dabble in a bunch of different types of sounds. So like not having to be labeled as something is probably appreciative in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I think like for the most part, like a lot of artists can, if you look at like sort of really classic artists, they do try a lot of things, and they have a lot of things, usually have a lot of things in their catalog that aren't the thing that we think of them as being primarily. Like, I think that, and what with a good artist, the thing that ties it together is the person that's at the center of it.
Yeah.
Is that they're the common thread. That's why, like, someone like David Bowie or somebody like Beyonce can, like, just have like tons and tons of music that all kind of sounds different, but their voice, their spirit is the thing that kind of unites it all and makes it seem like it's, oh, that's Beyonce, that's just Beyonce, that's just David Bowie. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how did you get like started in music in general? Like, what drew you to wanting to create music?
I mean, I think I was always interested in music, like just listening, and like, I grew up like as a young kid, like I have an older sister, and she was like taking piano lessons, so I'd like sit and listen to her play piano and like sing along with the parts and stuff like that. And I got asked if I wanted to take piano eventually later, did that. And then, but what really clicked was I kind of on a whim switched to bass guitar at the suggestion of a music teacher, but the instrument really connected with me. And that same teacher, he was like a jazz piano player, and I went and saw like a couple of his like small group performances, and was just like, okay, like that actually, like this instrument and what he's doing, that feels like something that I want to do. So I started studying bass and music more seriously, and playing in the jazz band at school. But also I was, at the same time, I was like listening to like Nirvana and like a lot of like punk and alternative stuff that was happening at that time, and was just also wanted to be in a band. So as soon as I could, like, joined a band, and was able to start doing like sort of small scale, went on my first tour when I was like 15 years old, I think, with that band. And that also felt, both of those things felt like valuable musical experiences. And I think, I just decided, I knew that I wanted to be a musician. I knew that I wanted to be in a band. I mean, I don't think I had any idea what that would really look like, but my dream when I was in high school was like, I want to be in a band and be able to tour and perform for people, and not have to like work in an office. And so far, like, that's all happened. So far so good.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah,
it's nice when your little childhood dreams work out.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't it doesn't always feel like a dream, but but I think any creative careers like are not, they're definitely a lot less stable than other careers. I mean, you go through a lot of ups and downs, and you have to be able to like, it takes a lot of like, it takes a lot of belief in oneself to keep pushing through it. But ultimately, I'm very happy with the way that my life has worked out and enjoy it.
Awesome. Um, what is like, I know obviously like being able to play on stage, but what is like one of like the biggest things you're most excited to do once we can do anything we want again?
Um, I mean, yeah, like you said, like performing, also just going to see live music and being like comfort. I don't know how long it's going to be until I can feel like comfortably like comfortable standing in a room of crowded people, like
Yeah.
not wearing like a mask or whatever. But besides that, I mean, definitely going to see my family. I haven't seen them very much this year, and that's been hard. Um, I like to play soccer, and between, first I had knee surgery last January, and then there
Yeah.
was a pandemic, so I haven't been able to play. So I'm looking forward to getting back and doing that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of like small, simple things that we took for granted in our lives before, with good reason, because they were very common everyday sort of things. But once you've had them taken away, I think that it's going to be a pretty amazing feeling to get to do all of those small little things again.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, spending all of this time like being cooped up has definitely made people realize like the things that they want in life and like the important stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get back to those things soon. But in the meantime, we'll be listening to your new single. um, and I really enjoy it, and I hope people go out and take a listen to it after listening to us to have a little chat today. Um, and we'll link all of Safer Spotify's and things like that below.
Oh, we also have it as a postcard record that is available for sale on our website.
Yes.
Had to give a little plug, but it's an actual postcard, but it does play on a record player. If you put it on, it has grooves that are in it. So if you go to our website, which is safer.band, and you order one, it's $10, and you tell us who you want to send it to, whether that's yourself or if it's somebody that you got a crush on, somebody in your family, a friend. Just tell us what message, and we'll put it on. We'll write it out and drop it in the mail, and it'll get to them, and they'll be able to listen to our new single and get a nice message from you. So.
Oh, that is so cool. That's so unique. How did you think of doing that?
It tied, I think me and my manager Jocelyn were just looking at, we knew we wanted to make some kind of like physical product, and we're just looking at the catalog of what was possible, and everything, the tie-in with like it being a love song, and the idea of like everybody being separated, and just it being nice to be able to send somebody like a little love note or note of appreciation or whatever it may be. So we were like, let's try it out, let's make them and see what happens. So.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, so we'll definitely link that below too. Everyone should go buy a little postcard, send it to someone you love, or send it to yourself, because why not?
Yeah, and you gotta love yourself too, so.
Yes, that is very true. All right, thank you so much for chatting, Mattie. I appreciate you talking with us today.
And thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And until next time, thanks everybody. Have a good one.